I screamed when my grandma told me that I was relatives with right-hand mans to Al Capone and Frank Balistrieri, who was the #1 mob boss in Milwaukee. For many years now, I've heard many mafia stories throughout my past, whether they be good ones or bad ones, and those have always interested me. I'm sure to most people, family is very important. To me, it's my #1 because I'm Italian. They say Italians are very close. Well, for us, it's very true. And it's my heritage, and that's what comes up in my discussions each time we talk about it. So this is why I started to invest in the Prohibition era, because this is when my great-grandparents were alive and when they really ramped up, and these were when the stories came out. Today I'll be going over the Prohibition era and what caused the 18th Amendment in the first place, what led to it, and then why it eventually got repealed. In the middle, this is Frank Balistrieri. He's the #1 mob boss in Milwaukee for like over 50 years. When talking about the Prohibition, you have to look at why it was formed in the first place. By the late 1800s, Prohibition movements started by women religious groups because they viewed drunkenness as an evil and a threat to the nation. As stated from the History.com editor's article, 18th and 21st Amendments, which was last updated on September 8th of 2020. As you can see here from this ad, this is a political campaign ad. Here's the mother with the family saying, "Vote Drive for me," and then they had an evil-looking drinker guy saying, "Vote Wet for my sake." So that was their ads and their propaganda. By 1916, 23 out of the 48 states passed an anti-saloon act, which bans you from drinking at a saloon, or which is a bar in our times. And then many expanded on that law, passing anti-registration laws, so like they can't legally sell alcohol in their states. On January 16, 1919, three-fourths of states ratified the 18th Amendment, so you can't sell, manufacture, or distribute liquor. The National Prohibition Act was also known as the Volstead Act, was passed to help the government legally be able to do this, because once an amendment is passed, that just gives the railways for more legislation to be passed. Just because something is illegal, it doesn't mean people won't be able to get their hands on it, as you can see today. A lot of people started to make alcohol illegally. Bootleggers popped up. A bootlegger is a person who illegally makes, distributes, an illegal good, but it is most known for the term of alcohol. So what bootleggers did is they would have the alcohol come in on ships through the Canadian border or the Mexican border, and they would hide them underneath the ships. Bootlegging ultimately created organized crime. That was the first type of crime back then, and we still see it to this day. Gangs were formed, and this just led to crime because a lot of money came in. Al Capone was one of the first notorious bootleggers. He made over $60 million each year from his speakeasies and his bootlegging. And this is a picture of him in one of his speakeasies down in Chicago. And like I said, my great-grandpa on my grandpa's side, he was actually his getaway driver, so it's pretty cool. After seeing the 18th Amendment, it led to more harm than good. The government had to change something about it. Because the Prohibition had led to so much organized crime and violence, everybody saw it as a fail. By the early 1930s, in opposition to the national 18th Amendment by the Democratic Party, as stated from Diana and Heckler's C article, Support for Repealing Prohibition, after Franklin Roosevelt's victory, as you can see in this ad, he was pro-repealing, and then Garner was against it. The amendment turned to supporting it. And in 1933, again, 3/4 states have ratified the laws to repeal the 21st Amendment. The 21st Amendment also brought, so you can legally tax these products too, which you still see to this day with like tobacco, marijuana, in some states where that's legal. At first, people viewed alcohol as a bad thing, but nothing would stop the spreads, and eventually it turned even worse. So throughout the speech, I have informed you about the prohibition and why it was repealed. Alcohol was looked at as an evil by many women religious groups, and ultimately that's why it was banned. But obviously that failed, so they needed to make new measures to make sure that wouldn't happen. Throughout life, I've never viewed alcohol as an evil thing. You grow up with your parents drinking, you hear about going to the bars, but to many people back in the day, it wasn't evilness. So that's why it got banned. But in life, you never know what the right thing to do is, and like this just shows you might think something is right, but ultimately a bigger evil could come from it.